Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming at you live, talking about episode 10 of the anime series, Just Because. And this show has just primo class. Very much where I was trepidatious with the previous episode. And the episode before it, I had said going into the previous episode that I was really trepidatious because of the heartbreak that was tantamount, that was potentially coming. And the last episode really kind of was depressive along those lines. All those melodramatic love triangle laden story tropes and everything like that were very much, at the forefront in the previous episode. And this episode picks up with that and is running. But the reason why I say this episode, especially, and overall the show has class, is because by the end of it, I was still rather hopeful by where the characters were left by the end of it. None of them are really defeatist. There are twists and turns in their lives that are happening because they're coming of age and everything like that. And the decisions that they have to confront and their feelings and their emotions, putting a voice to that, understanding that for themselves and everything like that. It's still hurdles to be leapt over, that kind of thing for these characters, but there was this sense and embodiment of hopefulness by the end of this episode. And a couple of times over, it brought me to the brink of tears. In fact, I was full on crying during the sequence where Hazuki is, for all intents and purposes, trying to break up with and let down Haruto. I mean, they weren't really dating, but, she's basically laying down the law. We can't really see each other. We really shouldn't see each other, probably. I'm moving away. I'm going to be going to school. You're going to be a member of the workforce. You're not really going to have the money to take the bullet train, to take the all-night buses and everything like that. You're not going to be able to see me for some time. And it's probably pragmatic, practical for us to really just look at our situation and be realistic about this. It's not going to work. We really can't make this work. And I really liked that he acknowledged the fact that she really gave this some thought. And my heart was breaking for him when he's crying. And I'm in the same boat. I have hardly any money. Even if I, meet a girl I want to hook up with and get to know and everything within town, within reach, I hardly have money to go out on dates with her, that kind of thing. So I feel his pain there. I have no car. I'm walking everywhere. If I have the money, I take public transportation. I'm between a rock and a hard place myself. So I highly, highly sympathize and empathize with Haruto in that moment. Not being wealthy, not being able to sort of keep up his end of any sort of potential relationship he might have with her along those lines, financially and such like that. I feel his pain, and when he's crying, I was out and out crying. I could highly, highly relate to that, to that dynamic, and it broke my heart. Similarly so, of course, the love triangle going on between Eita, Kamiya, and Natsume. As somebody said in the comments on my previous episode discussion video, she would inevitably see the background photograph of Kamiya on Eita's phone, and it was all set up for disaster, and that's exactly what happens. It has to happen somewhat melodramatically on Valentine's Day, where all the girls are supposed to get the boys chocolate, and then there's a follow-up holiday, I forget what they call it, where it's the guys' turn. A couple of the guys in the photo club mention that they're going to get something for Kamiya in response, that kind of thing. And I love how the one guy doesn't trust it at all. Where are the hidden cameras? Where is the audio devices? We're being played here by Kamiya. She hates us. She wouldn't do this, without it being a prank. I laughed my ass off at that. But the whole aspect, you have both Kamiya and Natsume getting up their courage, and they want to give Eita some chocolate for Valentine's Day. And, it's kind of the way they plot it. It's tantamount heartbreaking, because Kamiya is all excited. She sees Eita coming around a corner in the hallway, and she's about to go give hers to him, and then there is Natsume. So she gives up. Kamiya just gives up. She backpedals. She's like, I'm not going to deal with this. Then Natsume, on the other hand, she inadvertently when Eita gets a text from Haruto in class, she inadvertently sees him shutting off the message, and there is the portrait of Kamiya. And so what's obvious that's running through her mind is, oh, maybe he actually likes her. F it, I'm going home. I'm calling it quits. I'm taking a rain check, and that's it. I'm out. And I felt so bad for both girls. My heart was breaking for both of them. And I like, it was hard for me to like enjoy the episode because I was thinking I'm going to be so down by the end of this. It's so depressive. It's so heartbreaking. That's exactly what I was lamenting 2 episode discussion videos ago. I was lamenting this was potentially where it could go. I'm glad that they hadn't been going in that direction. But then you have Kamiya going out to all these shrines, and I'm like, what is this about? And of course, Eita, he's not quite sure what's going on with Natsume. I mean, it's apparently a crime against humanity for any of these characters to sit down and talk for a couple of minutes. If only Natsume had said, hey, I switched schools that I'm planning on going to. Well, we can't have that, can we? Because, as I said, I speculate none of these characters are going to wind up together by the end of the show. Maybe in the far-off distant future, those were the redeeming aspects, the more hopeful aspects of this episode. Calling back on Hazuki and Haruto, she says, well, look, maybe you can give me some time. We're going to be moving on. There's no way we can avoid this. We can't flip our lives on their sides. This is the way it is, like it or not. But if you can give me some time, maybe if you still have these feelings for me, if you still like me the way you do now at that time, she doesn't, it's not like she says, well, then maybe you can go out with me. She pointedly says, will you go out with me? She has shown that she too is interested in him. And so there is that ray of hope. And the way he's riding home on his bicycle, he's all excited. He's standing up on the damn thing, pedaling, because he's excited. He's invigorated. He's like, there is hope for this. She shot me down, but practically, because that is the practical situation we find ourselves encased within at the moment. But in time, we might be able to work it out. In time, there is the possibility. And what's more, she showed interest. I smiled ear to ear. I'm like, okay, that's enough. To know that there is the chance, there is the potential, that's enough to make me happy as a viewer. Similarly so, again, the whole aspect of Kamiya going around to the shrines, after she gets back home, she texts Eita, will you meet me at the monorail station, whatever. And at first, it's laugh out loud hysterical. She already left all the chocolate in the photo clip for the other 2 guys. But she went and she got one little square piece of chocolate for Eita. And it was just, I was laughing my ass off. It's cold out, so you can't even taste it. And she's like, savor it. And he's already swallowed it, But then this girl immediately was endeared to me. I mean, I wish I knew people like this in the real world. For anyone who is out there who's looking, looking for love and companionship and all that kind of stuff, who wants more than just flings and all that kind of stuff, just going out and having fun, you want to find somebody that you can grow a rapport with and build a relationship with. These are the kinds of people I wish I knew. People with this respectability and this level of compassion and humanity. She rode around to all of these different shrines out of the kindness of her own heart. Because every single one, she wanted to get a good luck charm from every single one to wish Eita the best, even in spite of the fact that she wants nothing but his failure. But she kind of still wants him to succeed. She knows that it would be pointedly, the only reason he's going to that school or trying to go get into that school is because he presumes that's where, and up until the last episode when she changed everything up, that's where Natsume would end up. So Kamiya, on the one hand, is supportive of him, while also hating and despising that he could end up there with her. Presumably, they don't know that Natsume has changed her course, redirected, and all that kind of stuff. But under the presumption that they will end up there together, of course, Kamiya doesn't want that because she likes Eita. But she likes him so much, she wants to support him. She's selfless in that, you know, her act of riding around and all that legwork going to all of these shrines melted my ever-loving heart, warmed my heart to the nth degree. I was like, oh my God, girl, I'll marry you. You know, like, geez, it gobsmacked me, the lengths to which she would go. And then you get the other leg drop at the end with Natsume. You know, how is she feeling about this? The last we saw her, she was running, she was crying. When confronted with the potential for Eita's already being taken and smitten with Kamiya, where did it leave her? And she's home and she's studying. We know she's redirected her course. She's trying to get into the other school that Eita was going to go in. They're both trying to get into the different schools now, and it's all hell's about to break loose along those lines. And she looks at her own little good luck charm, and she basically is like, well, he doesn't know how I feel, though. And what is unspoken there, in case you didn't get the subtext, because he doesn't know, there's still a chance. If I reveal to him how I feel, if he had those feelings for me in the past, like I suppose he did, if I reveal now that I do have feelings for him, maybe he'll reciprocate. Maybe he'll back away from whatever potential interest he has in Kamiya. And she herself gives herself her own sense of reinvigoration. Well, I'm going to go and I'm going to pass that test. And when I do, I'm going to tell him. Unfortunately, she's operating under the assumption that if I pass that test, we're both going to be going to the same school. Not anymore. And so I still feel like all of these characters, they're going to go their separate ways for the most part, but they're all going to end their stories amicably. I don't think there's going to be a depressive, defeatist quality by the end, and that is the class of this series. The utmost class and artistic integrity and realism in the characterization. Maybe, arguably, there is a bit of an idealistic aspect to the characters. As I said already in this video, these are the kinds of people you wish you could meet in the way they interact and associate, in the way they consider each other, and all those kinds of things. They actually are considerate. And that's something that's sorely lacking in this day and age with people. Being compassionate, being considerate, giving some thought, being empathetic towards someone else, and not being just selfish out and out. Kamiya was the embodiment of that. There's a little underridden selfishness because she likes and cares for Eita, but she's still putting his well-being ahead of that. Still wishing him the best in spite of the fact that it would eat her away inside if he succeeds. Where are the people in this world that are like this? I want to know them. I want to consider them my friends. And so again, another brilliant episode, because by the end it was flourishing with this idea of hope. It encapsulated hope by the end. And I would not have expected that based on where we left off in the previous episode and where we began in this one. And so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love this series. I love the characters. I can't wait to see where it goes from this point with everybody. If it will fall in line, as I speculate and suspect, that they will all amicably go their separate ways. And then we'll be left with this idea of what tomorrow will bring for all of them. And that'll be left to us to assume and speculate as fans and everything like that. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 10 of the anime series, just because, if you've seen it as well, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you agree with my take on the episode. If not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. It's all about having a great discussion. Our POVs can certainly disagree. It's the topic of talk and talking about great anime series like this particular one. And so yeah, Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.